Is that showing?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
I could share my screen if you aren't able to.
Yeah, why don't you do that to speed it up?
Okay, just have to
Karen?
tell me when to turn the,
Okay, no problem.
let's see.
I see that.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Okay, yeah, I'm going to provide an update on what we're calling the temporary power project, which is a project that we've been coordinating with PEC for a number of years. Karen, you can advance the slide. Overall, how this fits into the phase 2 project, when I'm talking about the phase 2 project in general, with the pump station, the intake, all the infrastructure, we're approaching the 90% design level on those portions of the project, and we'll have the 90% design submittal prepared by January 2021. The temporary power project is on a different and more accelerated schedule, which I'll explain in a minute, which is why design on that particular component of the project is complete and at 100%. Next slide. The PEC temporary power project is something that we have been working with PEC for many years on, and was actually memorialized in a letter agreement regarding the terms and the schedule for that project back in April 24th of 2019. Next bullets. The purpose of the project is to provide power to the pump station site to allow the contractor to complete construction of the project at the pump station site, which is the main construction area for the project. And what it consists of is upgrades from 1431 in Trails End Road, down Trails End Road, over to Lime Creek Road at the pump station site, primarily consisting of upgrades to existing overhead electric. And then there's a number of utilities that are located in the middle of the pump station site that need to be relocated prior to the contractor beginning work. And so this project has been scheduled to be complete, construction complete, before we have a contractor mobilized at that site to begin construction of the phase 2 raw water delivery system. We have at this point a complete 100% design package that has been prepared by M&S, which is the engineering consultant that has been working on design with PEC on that portion of the project. They have submitted that design to PEC. PEC has reviewed it and they've approved it. The ongoing work for this project is there are a couple of easements that are still being acquired. Most of the easements have been acquired to date, and the few easements that are still being acquired at this point are not on the critical path of the project. Next bullet. We are working for construction to start on the temporary power project not later than January 2021 to avoid impacts to the phase 2 raw water delivery system project and when construction on that project can begin. Next slide. M&S working with PEC has generated a cost estimate for the project. PEC has broken the project up into 8 different work orders or work authorization packages. They've also broken out a few other cost items, like the purchase of engineered poles is an early item that needs to be procured in advance just because of lead time for some of that work. The M&S construction phase services contract would be with PEC as they work through the construction phase on that project. The total project cost, which includes a 15% contingency that we're carrying, is $4.09 million. We had budgeted in advance for this project $4.6 million, so it's about $500,000 beneath the budget amount. For construction funding, Cedar Park has 2018 SWIFT funds available that they took down for this project. And Leander and Round Rock have phase 1A savings available that have been authorized for use on this project.
So I'll chime in here that really no board action is needed on this, this item, but we promise to come back and give you an update on the actual cost that PEC gave us, because our agreement basically says that they give us a cost estimate and we pay based on what that cost estimate is. And even if the project goes over their estimate, they're still going to just charge us for the cost estimate. So we're $500,000 under budget, like Aaron said. So I think we're in pretty good shape going into this. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you. I'll turn it back
Thank you. And we are going to back up because I think that we do have citizens on the line. And so I apologize, but I think we're all good to go now. And I'll just, for everybody's sake, repeat the item I read before. So we're going to do agenda item number 3, citizen communication. Again, any citizen wishing to speak during citizen communication regarding an item on or off the agenda may do so. All comments must be no more than 3 minutes in length. Any comments regarding items not on the posted agenda may not be discussed or responded to by the BCRUA board per state law. And we'll try this again. And Tony Ruff. Tony? Tony Ruff? All right, well, we'll try another.
There he is. Let him unmute himself.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is Tom Blauvelt. You unmuted me, but you did not unmute Tony Ruff.
I think
He's,
I am now.
he's unmuted now.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. Tony Ruff. I live 16321 Jackson Street, Valenti, Texas. And my reason for attending the citizens portion of this is really around the immediate construction traffic at Site 4 for the maintenance building. And I just want to, go on record and say that, I'd like to know if BCRUA is planning the construction of this major project, has done so with the lowest impact to the neighborhood residents that live in the direct path. I have attended several meetings with the Village of Valenti, and then also with the town hall that we had with Karen and Aaron. So I want to thank them for their time. And we fully understand, that this is here and now. And, what our concerns are as residents in the neighborhood is really just the construction traffic that we're going to be dealing with. As far as the residents that, that live within Jackson, Sherman, Aaron, and the Bernard Streets, we have a high safety concern with the amount of outdoor activity that we currently have with, walking, exercising, children playing, dog walking, everyday life. We live in a golf cart community. And I would like, the BCRUA as an entity running the project to let us know what we can, or how we can stay informed on the construction activity of this project as it moves forward. We've heard things from on your website, 2 years for the construction, but that hasn't necessarily been the, up to 4 or 5 years is what I've heard. So just the communication there to the residents, if there's some avenue for that, for the residents that do have concerns, questions during the project, will there be, a point of contact or, someone that we can, for either immediate or general concerns, as this project goes on and contractors are coming in and out of the neighborhood, will there be some type of communication track? The timeframes of the construction, is concern for the residents here. Obviously, keeping it to weekdays, understanding the hours that's going to be needed, I think is important for us. Again, just being in the direct line of the impact of this construction and the time frame that that it's going to be going on. And then as far as the recreational impact of the intake, our neighborhood actually has an HOA common area that includes a boat ramp, which is very close to where the maps are indicating the intake. So I would ask, has that boat ramp, or will that boat ramp where dogs, people swim, and residents use, on a regular basis as an amenity of our neighborhood, is that boat ramp affected? Whether the year round or the level of the lake of which the where the intake is going to be placed. It seems close, but also when you're talking about, you know, a 200-foot barrier around this thing, you know, has that been considered where our boat ramp is? And outside of, you know, I have a teen driver, so a lot of my concerns with a teen driver in the house, you know, are big, especially, you know, with as curvy as the roads are, you know, in general. So a lot of just understanding the scheduling and the communication track when it comes to the construction phase, I think would help myself and many residents out here. And that's it.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Ruff, for joining us. Appreciate your comments.
Okay.
All righty. Next one I'm showing is a Timothy McMillan.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Timothy McMillan, 16512 Jackson Street, Valente, Texas. I'm going to speak about Site 4 in our neighborhood and the safety of our people and kids and dogs, like Tony said. I live down the street from him. I have concerns about the Jackson Street road cut through, as far as if it's even necessary. Are there alternative routes to take? Can you take Bernard Street into the entrance that's already existing? If, from what I've learned about the project, if you're planning on only bringing in the size trucks that you say you're going to bring through Jackson Street, it doesn't sound to me or look to me like you would need to cut an extra road in that's obviously costing the BCRUA $1.2 million. I have concerns that there's going to be other stuff coming through Jackson Street because of that road. I actually had a professional, a trucking expert come out there today to look at the area, and small trucks, you know, regular dump trucks and a 40-foot flatbed could make it through with a truck, with like a 2,500 truck or 3,500 truck could make it through the current infrastructure without building any new roads. So people are worried about the safety walking through there and the traffic coming through there. And wondering if it's necessary for the long term and the aesthetics of it, the wildlife. And one more thing, my neighbor Kenneth James is unable to speak tonight because he didn't sign up in time, but him and I were both wondering, you know, why there are survey sticks on our properties and why we weren't contacted as to what they're there for or why they're there. I mean, technically it's probably just an easement or a right of way, but it would be nice to know why they're there and what's going on. So yeah, I mean, I would like to just ask to explore existing infrastructure as the route. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McMillan. Appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
All right. Next one I'm showing is a Judy Gracie. Judy?
Hi, my name is Judy Gracie, and I live at 15775 Booth Circle in Valente. And I've been involved in this project since 2007. And my neighborhood was the first site that was designated for the pump station. And it was a 100-foot wide park site that was owned by 45, 50 property owners had rights to it. So that was a pump station site. It really, how viable is that? 100-foot wide park site. So then it moved to the Jackson site. Really, instead of the 2 sites that were viable next to your existing water treatment plants. There were 2 viable sites there, but instead it was, again, a Valenti in the back of a Valenti neighborhood. So here we are today. And now we'd like to really have you consider having a staging site outside the village so that all the construction staging for the intake would be from the water. So that doesn't go through the site. If you've come out to Valenti, which I don't know how many of you have, but this is in the very back of a neighborhood. So by doing the construction staging site the same way the city of Austin constructed the Oasis intake, that will be a huge impact that would be removed from the neighborhood. So there was, and at this time, we cannot see that the BCRUA has acquired a staging site. And in the last town hall meeting, it was almost like it was going to be left up to the contractor. And that's just, that's the number one huge impact to us. The intake construction is done on the water. It's 12 barges that are put together. And if you've seen pictures of what the intake construction is, it has a 200-ton crane on it. It has a turnkey driller. I mean, it's huge. It has tons of pipe. Are you saying that this is going to come through our neighborhood? If you use a staging site, then 2 roads that you're currently planning on can be eliminated. And these roads will never be used again. After the construction of the intake, these roads are not going to be used. So when the pump station was removed from the village, the maintenance building was the only thing that was on this Jackson site. And it was going to be used for mussel control and an intake valve being remotely controlled. So, but now we're looking at the possibility of having this construction all through the village. And the other big impact that hasn't been decided is the pump station construction. They're saying, again, that it can be decided by the contractor. So you've got heavy construction that could be coming through the village for the pump station. And that was the reason that it was removed, that, we wanted that impact of the pump station removed from the village. And it's actually more viable to have it come from Anderson Mill down to the pump station. There's only like one area that is would have to have traffic control. Anyway,
Thank you, Ms. Gracie, for those comments.
Sure. Thank you.
Appreciate you being on the call. All right, I have another name for a Kenneth James. Kenneth James.
Oh, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Sure. And Tim spoke for me a little bit. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to talk, but one of the big concerns I had was just out of nowhere seeing my property at the corner of Jackson and Aaron Terrace staked out, and it looked like a survey, and it was staked with no notice. And I'm just curious, how are you confirming that you're not encroaching my property and others, and how do we make sure that construction doesn't encroach into the property? That land is not developed yet, but I am working on helping my dad, who's a disabled veteran, build a house there. And we chose that land for the peace and quiet and tranquility out here in Valente. And the road is being cut right through the corner. So major concerns there. And again, just kind of echo Tim's thoughts about even the need to build a street there. If the construction materials that are supposed to be moving through there can be transported down an existing roadway. And again, had another concern just around the length of the construction. So would appreciate clarity around that. And that's all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. James. That's all the names that I had. Monique, do you have any others that have jumped on?
And let me look those to be sure. That's all that I have showing.
Okay. Well, appreciate all four of you being on the call and sharing your comments. So thank you. We will go back to, hold on. All right. So that was citizen communication. We did that. Okay. So that'll move us to agenda item number 8. So 8A is consider a resolution authorizing the president to execute an engagement letter with Specialized Public Finance Incorporated for municipal advisory services. Ms. Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. President. BCRUA entered into a contract with a financial advisor, Specialized Public Finance Inc., which we will call SPFI, in 2016. And that contract expired last year. As BCRUA begins to develop a funding application for phase 2 construction, this contract needs to be renewed to help with the application. Although right now we're just looking at the abridged application, which is just where the Water Development Board determines whether the project is eligible. The funding application will come later in the spring. So the operating committee has reviewed and approved the proposal of the proposed engagement letter that SPFI has provided us. And we have Gary Kimball on the line of SPFI, and Robert Powers, Leander's finance director, are available to answer any questions. Are there any questions?
All right. If there's no questions, Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Shaw,
Second.
second by Director Duffy. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right. Any opposed? All right. So we have 3-0. All right. Very good.
Gary, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Look forward to working with you on the project financing.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. So that'll take us to 8B. Consider a resolution approving the quarterly investment report for July 1, 2020 for September 30, 2020. Ms. Bondi?
Yes, I'm going to turn the next 3 items over to Robert Powers, and I'm going to share my screen so that we can, if there's anything in particular that we would like to reference on here, we will have it up. So Robert, I'll turn it over to you then.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Karen. If you can go to page 24 of the board packet, I'll start there with the portfolio summary report.
Okay. Check out my page numbers here. There we go. See 'em?
Hey, just for clarity, JP, do I need to introduce 8C and 8D as well if we're going to take them all at one? You're on mute.
I think we could take them one at a time. Did I pass
Okay.
it? Let's see. 24, you said?
You're
Yes,
still
right there.
Right here? Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. I guess my packet's different, but anyway, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This is the quarterly investment report for the period July through September of this year. And this quarter ends the fiscal year. The fiscal year ends, as you know, September 30th. And as you can tell on this report, the total investments on hand at the BCRUA, a little over $31.8 million. For the quarter, investment earnings were $17,853. The WAM, which stands for weighted average maturity, is only at 1 day, which means that it's all in overnight investments such as money markets and Techstar, primarily due to the fact that the projects that the funds are dedicated to have a short horizon on the spin. So long-term investments are difficult to come by. But for the quarter, the average yield on those investments was 0.193%. Not very much, but when you have $31.8 million, it does add up to some real dollars. So to show you that, Karen, if you could go 2 more pages to page 24. There you go. In the bottom middle of the screen, you can see total earnings for the fiscal year to date on the investments were $427,000. So that wraps up the investment earnings for the fiscal year. And then if you could turn 1 more page, Karen. This page in your report breaks down all the different funds that represents $31.8 million. As you know, we have 3 separate projects with the Water Development Board. We have the original construction funds from 2009, and we refer to those funds as Phase 1A savings. That's $6.4 million. We have the 2017 SWIFT funds, that's Phase 1C. And then we have the 2018 SWIFT funds from the Water Development Board. That's Phase 2. So we have construction funds, and we have also at the bottom, we have escrow funds, and those are funds that have not been released from the Water Development Board, but we still are able to invest those funds until we need them. I'm happy to answer any questions on this item.
Any questions? All right. Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve the report.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion by Director Duffy and second by Mr. Director Shaw. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We'll move to item 8C. Consider the resolution approving the BCRUA investment policy and strategy.
And I will go ahead and share my screen, Robert, to go to that policy.
Okay.
Here we go.
Thank you again, Mr. President. State law requires that public entities review their investment policies annually. So we do this around the start of a new fiscal year, and we've had this reviewed by our investment advisor as well as the operating committee finance directors, and we have only 1 change to recommend to the policy. It's on page 5 under section 9, authorized investments, and paragraph 9. We're recommending to extend the length of how far out we can invest in commercial paper. Commercial paper are private funds as opposed to public funds. The current policy was 6 months or 180 days. The recommendation is to allow that to go out to 270 days. Again, with the low interest rate environment, it just gives us a little bit more opportunity to make some short-term investments. That's the only change in the policy, and we certainly would recommend you approve with that change.
Very good. Any questions on item 8C? Anybody? Nope. All right. Chair will entertain a motion to approve 8C.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Director Shaw, second from Director Duffy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that carries. Moving to 8D, consider a resolution approving the amended authorized broker dealer list.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
I'll share my screen here so we can take a look at that.
Okay.
Let's see right here.
Thank you, Mr. President. This list represents those firms that are allowed to sell investments to the BCRUA. We utilize our investment advisor, Patterson and Associates, and this is the recommended list of firms that they can buy securities from. And we have two additions at the bottom of the list: Robert Baird, which is a firm, and UBS, which is also a large investment banking firm. The other changes are name changes and or firms that we've previously dealt with that have since merged since last year. So we recommend the changes as shown on the on your screen.
Very good. Any questions on the dealers list?
Yeah.
All right. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All right. We have a first from Director Duffy, second from Director Shaw. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. So before we go back to executive session items, I'll go to director closing comments. Any directors have anything they'd wish to share for the good of the body?
No, just thank you to everyone.
Ditto.
All right. Well, I will thank you, the four citizens we had on the call for their time and effort to coming out and voice their concerns and opinions. So appreciate you being on the call with us. And so as stated before, we are going to go into, we'll address, I'll read both of these, item number 5 and 6. 5A, consider an executive session as authorized by section 551-071 of the government code related to the consultation with the board attorneys regarding the proposed interlocal agreement with the village of Valente. And then possibility of item number 6, 6A, consider discussion and or possible action regarding the proposed interlocal agreement with the village of Valente. So with that, we will, before you go anywhere, nobody drop off, because this is executive session and it's going to be hard to catch everybody again. So I will ask the callers, citizens outside of the board to exit, and Monique will do her best to make sure that we are all good as we go into executive session. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.